warning for my fellow travelers. If you ever have a layover in Philly overnight, don't spend the night at the Economy Motel. And if you absolutely must, steer clear of room 103. I was heading south to visit some family members for a few weeks, and unfortunately, the only flight available included a 7-hour layover in Philadelphia. Not wanting to spend those hours huddled outside the airport, I rented the cheapest motel I could find and took the shuttle over at about 11 p.m. The place was just about the shadiest looking motel I'd ever seen, but it was a bed, right? Anyways, I checked in and headed to my room, 103. Exhausted, I immediately collapsed on the bed. A bit lumpy, but not terrible. Not bothering to take up my contacts, I closed my eyes and let my thoughts wander. I was yanked back to reality by a loud grumbling from my stomach. Right, the airline hadn't fed us. Annoyed, I dug around in my bag for one of those microwavable soup cups which I had tossed in the room's microwave. As the microwave rattled away, I noticed a piece of paper wedged underneath it. I yanked it out and unfolded it. 2 words scribbled on it hastily. Don't look. Whatever. I tossed it aside and retrieved my soup. Feeling lonely, I hopped online to see if anyone was on. I was in luck. My long-distance girlfriend happened to be on Skype. I called her up and we chatted a while, trying to keep our voices down. Eventually, though, she said something that made me laugh, and I heard a muffled curse come from upstairs. Feeling guilty, I said my goodnights and ended the call, with the intention of getting a bit of rest before my next flight. As I lay in the now dark room, I noticed a thin stream of light coming from where the curtain didn't close completely. Annoyed, I got up to close it. I was almost at the window when I heard it.
I can see you in your bedroom.
The voice sent a chill up my spine. It was very quiet and soft. It was so soft I wasn't sure I hadn't just imagined it. I shook my head and reached for the curtain.
I know you can hear me. I'm at your bedroom window and I know you can hear me.
I jumped back as a shadow crossed the stream of light coming into my room. I definitely hadn't imagined it that time. There was a voice directly outside my door. Someone was out there, looking in. I jumped back into bed, pulling the covers over me.
I'm at your bedroom window. I know you can hear me. I can see you in your bedroom. Are you listening to me? I know you can hear me. Come, take a look. I'm at your bedroom window.
The taunting went on and on, rattling into my thoughts and leaving me paralyzed in fear. Suddenly, I heard the tenant upstairs moving around again. Footsteps stomped over to the door above, and I heard muffled shouting. The door upstairs slammed, and there was silence. I breathed a sigh of relief and leaned back against the pillow, determined to get some sleep.
I'm still out here. Come, look out your window.
I sat straight up, heart pounding in my ears. The voice was back. It whispered on and on, repeating his mantra over and over again. I put my hands over my ears and rocked back and forth, trying to block out the sound. It was no use. The longer I sat there, the louder it got until I could hear it clearly. It sounded like it was right next to me. Frantic, I picked up the phone and dialed the police. Stammering and stuttering in fright, I managed to give them the information. Where I was, what was wrong. Please help, I'm scared. I didn't care if it was a prank at this point. My mind was reeling in terror. The officers assured me that they'd be over shortly to see what the issue was. I thanked them and hung up the phone. As soon as I did, silence descended over the room. It wasn't just the voice that stopped. No, utter silence filled the room. The air conditioner stopped. The street noises outside ceased. Even the faint hum of electricity from the TV and lights just went away. It pressed on my ears with a tangible heaviness that sent shivers through me. It was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. This silence. Next to me, my phone rang. The caller ID told me that it was the police station calling me back. Cautiously, I picked it up and answered. Hello?
They aren't coming,
growled the voice. And every light went out, plunging the room into complete and total darkness. In the dark, I fumbled for my bag. I might not have had a flashlight, but I did have my video camera, which had a weak light on it. Besides, I can't deny I wanted to film this, only to prove that I wasn't going insane. Finding it, I turned it on, casting a dim light over the room. Even with this light, the shadows still consumed the edges of my vision, making me jump at every perceived motion I caught in the corner of my eye. Shaking, I forced myself to focus on the camera. Carefully, I stood up from the bed, walked toward where I thought the curtain was. The thin light from the camera only served to give a vague outline to the curtain and the door, as though the darkness that had swallowed the room was even now working against the light from my camera. Carefully, I reached out and touched the curtain, pushing it closed all the way. Whatever was out there couldn't look in now. As I did, I heard a loud clicking sound next to me, like a latch turning in the door. Panic, I whipped around to look at the door. Inexplicably, it had opened on its own. The latching sound I had heard, however, was the door getting caught by the extra security lock. I could see nothing through the crack, just more inky blackness outside. I slammed the door shut again, double-checking the locks and latches. Everything was in place. I breathed a sigh of relief, and that's when I heard it. A sort of scuttling sound coming from the back of my room, somewhere in the direction of the bathroom. Cautiously, I moved toward the noise, trying to keep my hands from shaking too badly. I knew whatever footage I was going to get was going to be a mess of wobbly camera, but my videographer skills weren't exactly my top priority at the moment. I approached the source of the noise, but found nothing, except for another piece of paper, wedged partly behind a wall-length mirror next to the closet. I fumbled to open the folded-up scrap, trying not to tear it in my haste. When I finally got it open, there were only 2 words. Turn around. I was not about to do anything of the sort. Trembling, I slowly looked at the mirror while pointing my camera behind me at the same time. I couldn't see anything. Nothing. It was just inky blackness behind me. But I could feel it. I could feel a figure there, coming towards me. I was paralyzed. I couldn't move in fear. Then I felt this cold grip on my shoulder, and I bolted, broke out of my paralysis, drove into the bathroom, slamming the door behind me. Quietly sobbing, I leaned against the door and slowly slid down until I was sitting in the cracked tiles, with the door firmly closed and locked behind me. Whatever it was scrabbled a bit at the bottom of the door, and then came the whisper.
Let me in. I'm out here in the dark. Let me in.
Go away! I screamed. The voice stopped abruptly. I shivered and let out the breath I had been holding in tightly. I still clung to my camera, unwilling to let go of the one thing that was keeping me tethered to reality. I sat there until the rays of early sunlight began peeking under the door, and I knew it was safe. Carefully, I cracked open the door and peeked around. The coast was clear. In a rush, I grabbed all my luggage and raced out the door. The hotel manager looked at me kind of oddly, but I wasn't going back in that room. I spent the next hour waiting for the shuttle in the lobby.